Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Martin, and tonight we are talking about the must-watch episodes of Season 13. What were the ones we keep going back to? Which do we watch on watch parties? What are those ones that when we flip past and it's on, we have to stop and finish it? We'll talk about all those things, but first, let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Carole.
Hi, I'm Carole Stokes. I've been watching Supernatural since Season 3. Started writing fanfic in 2012. Love Supernatural, love to talk about it. And I'm also one of the co-hosts of the Spotify podcast, So Get This, The Lore of Supernatural Fanfiction.
Very good. Elektra.
I'm Elektra Hammond. I've been watching Supernatural since that very, very first episode, all the way until that last episode just made me cry.
Anna.
I'm Anna Kensing. I've been watching Supernatural also from the very beginning. I think I took a brief break sort of somewhere in the, midst of the series, but then I came back with a vengeance. I have dabbled in some fanfic, and I also write queer, paranormal, and historical romance.
The pets are all showing up. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I've been a fan since the night the pilot aired in 2005, and Kitty has been a fan since June of 2020.
Very good. Lynn.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Zubernis. I am a clinical psychologist and a professor at Westchester University, and studying fan psychology is one of my research areas, especially the fandom of Supernatural, because it's my favorite show and has been from the very beginning. So I also have been here for a really long time loving this show and still love it.
And Lola.
First, Lynn, I think you have a cloaked figure behind your window. Just be on the lookout. Watch your six, okay? I'm just a little worried. It's right behind your window. It's cloaked, it's white, whatever it is. So just be wary. My name's Lola Lariscy, and I was just thinking, how long has Supernatural been on? 19 years. Is that not crazy? People who were born the year it started can go to war, can smoke, can't drink, but they can vote. And hopefully they know how to vote. Vote. All right, that's it. Thanks.
I'm Kelsey Martin and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. But all my modern day worlds are ones Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. I fell in love with the show in the middle of season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in time for the start of season 12, fell down the rabbit hole, and as anybody who knows me knows, I proudly bear the mantle of obsessed fan. All right, so let's dive into season 13. And Carole, give us your first favorite episode.
I'm going with Tombstone. Season 13, episode 6. Tombstone just has a lot of fun stuff going on. Dean, they're investigating a case in the West. And so Dean, of course, is like diving back into his obsession with Western and, buying the bolo tie and the hat and everything. I also really liked, the case is really cute. It's a monster of the week. But I especially like the character of the mortician. Yeah, the mortician, who is this snazzy brunette.
Betty Page looking.
Yeah. She's got the dark hair, and she's like kind of vintagey dressed with a red lipstick, and she's sassy. And she was a really fun, great character. So it was just, there was a lot of drama going on in season 13, and it was nice to kind of have a little break and have a kind of more lightheaded, lighthearted episode to break things up. And it was just really fun.
Very good. Elektra.
Lightheaded. I like that. I want to start at the beginning with Lost and Found, the very first episode of the season, because so much important stuff happens in that episode that it's just a must watch for me. I mean, we meet the adult version of Jack that we come to know and love eventually, and we get to meet him in the All Together, walking down the street to the infamous Pirate Pete's. And Pirate Pete's really should exist. I mean, it's just too much fun. And, we meet Sheriff Christine Barker, who, takes all of this in stride. Naked kid? Sure. No fingerprints? Okay, a little scary, but she goes with it. Dean eventually gives her the talk. She's okay with it. It's so unfortunate we never see her again. She would have fit right in with Jody and Donna and all the other sheriffs we've met that we've come to know and love. She's just, in Oregon, but and that darn house where Jack was born, I swear that is the same location that they use in, oh Lord, the Alien show
The X-Files?
that Alan Tudyk is doing.
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien, that's the house that Alan Tudyk lives in. It's
Maybe.
that same darn house.
It sure looks like it. I'll give you that.
It really does. It's scary. I love the whole, Jack is just walking down the road looking for his dad, and they're like, oh no, Lucifer's bad news. And Lucifer's not my dad. My dad's Castiel.
Oh,
And they've got to break it to him that Castiel is gone, and they've got to give Castiel the hunter's funeral, and they've got to figure out, what the heck they're going to do. And it's a really nice starting point from, where are we going to go? Because now they've got a grown-up kid who just is all powerful, but just they realize Jack is completely innocent, and maybe they can teach him not to be bad, because he seems to be like interested in things like snack food.
Nougat.
He likes
does love a
nougat.
good
Yes,
nougat.
he loves nougat.
Anna.
So I was going to start with Lost and Found as well, and largely because the road so far opening music is Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, which, first of all, this song is perfect for the recap about what happened last season and sort of what's coming up. And secondly, oh my God, the show can afford a Metallica song, which is really kind of groundbreaking for the show, because we've had references to Metallica songs throughout the whole season, from the very, very first episode, the pilot episode, where Dean slots in a Metallica tape, except that they don't play Metallica because they couldn't afford, because Metallica is really expensive to get the license for, to play on the TV. And so it was sort of like oh my God, the show has actually kind of made it that they can afford a Metallica song for the credits. So that was a thing. And then also there's Miriam, who, turns out to be an angel, but also is like outside of Pirate Pete's. She seems to be just a drunk girl. And she has this hilarious rant to Dean about her roommate who, Becky, who's giant super bitch, said in the most feminist, screw the patriarchy kind of way, and, whatever. So this speech is hilarious. And then she also calls Dean a giant super bitch too, and says that he's Becky, and the whole thing is just really hilarious. So
Wants his French fries.
Yes.
fries,
Oh, yes.
I get it.
Yes. So in absence of Elektra having already picked that, I'm going to go with The Rising Sun, the very next episode. And this is mostly because of the scene where Jack is modeling himself after Dean, where they're in the hotel room. And so, like Dean takes his burger and he has it in both hands, and he takes like big bites out of it, and he like chows it down. And Dean turns to Jack while he's doing this and says, slow down, it's not going anywhere. And Sam's like, dude, you ever seen yourself eat? Jack takes a sip of beer. After Dean takes a sip of beer, he wipes his hand across his mouth the way that Dean does. It's just, he's trying to figure out how to be human in the world, and he's looking to Dean to model himself after. And Sam is just like sweetly amused by this. He just looks at the two of them, and his heart is just like actually imploding in on itself. And anyway, these are really great episodes.
Melissa, how about you?
Beat the devil. Sam, Dean, Cass, and Gabriel go to Apocalypse World. Blah blah blah. There's a tunnel. There's vampires. Sam gets killed. There's a lot wrong with this.
In other
episode.
words, it's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
There is a lot wrong with this episode, and we've talked about it in the past, but you got to watch this episode because of Jensen's performance. His performance is stellar. It is heart-rendingly impactful when he's telling Mary that he's going back to get Sam's body. His face is an absolute picture of devastation. And it is just such incredible acting. And it's done with no words. It's all Jensen's face. And it destroys me every single time. I mean, I know what happens. I know I don't need to be crying. And it absolutely shreds my heart into little tiny pieces. So watch this one, even though there's, like I said, it's problematic from the way it was written. There's a lot of things that the writers force the characters to do that is not in character, but who cares, because Jensen's performance is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to point out for anybody who doesn't remember the episode, pardon the squeaking in the background, is that when Dean says, dude, the moose, he's squeaking a moose, by the way. It's at least in
Of
character.
course he is.
That when Dean says, enough already. When Dean says he's going back to get Sam's body, we all know that he's going back to die with Sam. There is no getting Sam's body back from a nest of vampires. So we know what he's doing, and Mary may not, but we're all going, oh, of course you are. So yeah. Lynn?
Well, I will add to that just because I have to briefly say that even though I agree that there are things that we wish went differently in that episode, that will always be like such a powerful episode for me because that's one of the ones I was on set and got to watch them film. So I also want to call out the two of the scenes that I saw being filmed, one of which is Jared's death scene with the vampires, which was this just amazingly complicated scene to set up because it was all of the vampires had to, it's all choreographed so specifically. They all had to be there in a certain way, and then they had to have a blood pack on Jared's neck, which exploded in the right way. But that means like when it explodes, holy crap, does it ever explode? So they did it once and it didn't come off right. Some of the vampires were in the wrong place or whatever, but the blood pack went. And so everyone was covered in blood, including the camera lens, because it had just gone all over. So they had to do this big reset and clean the cameras and put the blood pack, clean up Jared. Like they had to film that several times. And it was, to someone who is not in the business, like that was just amazing to me to see what it took to do that. And also to see how Jared could, like time after time, to be able to give like a death scene performance. I don't know how you tap into that time after time. And it was amazing. And I watched Jensen film the scene where Dean is being held back and hears Sam calling for him as he's being killed and can't get to him, and watch Jensen film that scene repeatedly, having to tap into the absolute horror of Dean, witnessing his worst nightmare come to life. So I just want to shout Jared and Jensen out for their amazing performances that they did multiple times over the course of a day. And I really saw what it took out of them and how absolutely knackered they both were at the end of that day. They, it's not the hardest job in the world, acting. Of course, there are millions of jobs that are way harder. But that day, the emotional work that they put in was pretty amazing. Anyway.
Did you get to see Rowena and Gabriel bang in the library? Because that would be cool.
No, they didn't. Richard was Gabriel. I got to see Richard film as Gabriel, but Ruth was not on set that day, so I did not get to see that. But, oh well.
Very cool. Lola, you're somewhere there
Can-
under all those pets?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do uh a most holy man, and I'm a little confused because Buddy stepped on the keyboard and put a whole bunch I'd written. So one of the first things I liked is I never put this together, but the word Maltese comes from Malta. I never realized that until I just rewatched that episode today, and I'm like, baby girl, Precious, have you been to Malta?
No,
was it
because
like?
I have been to Malta, and I had this mental image of flocks of wild native Maltese dogs like running across the hillside. No, Malta is a
None of
large
that?
rock. There are no Maltese dogs that I saw. There are no herds of native Maltese because I have a Maltese too. No, I'm really sorry to break it to you, but
Wouldn't that be cute?
No,
Them
but
just
it's
bounding across the
wonderful there, though.
fields.
hmm?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful vacation spot.
It is. It is just no herds of native Maltese.
No, go to the
What?
Inquisitioner's Palace.
Yeah. All right,
Because
back to
nobody
you,
expects
Lola.
to be
Which
in the
episode are you going to pick?
Okay, so A Most Holy Man was a really good episode. Because it kept, first of all, you thought the mysterious guy was the thief, but it's not. He's actually the most holy man. Kind of like the most interesting man without sex, I would imagine. I don't know. I didn't really ask him that. That's not my business. That's between him and the Pope and God and all that stuff. Whatever. He was kind of hot though, so that could have happened. Anyways, so I liked him, and I love that it's direct tapping. She's my girl. Samantha from Stargate, Naomi from this show. She's just awesome. I love her to death. And I like that it's kind of got a noir vibe throughout the whole thing. You've got the dame, the dame, whatever you call it, who's got like the 40s haircut and the red lipstick, and she's always like, Miss, and I get what I pay for, and you will owe me. And it's all just very like Dick Tracy or something, but kind of ridiculous too. You also going throughout, even though the episode itself isn't particularly noir, it's just kind of like a little homage that makes me laugh. And that actually matches Sam got all his information from the dark web. So you've got that noir vibe in the dark web. And there's an exchange about the Impala that I found oddly funny. I mean, murder, this shouldn't be funny, but it just kind of cracked me up because Sam was trying to explain why the skull is so important to Catholics. And he said, okay, what if someone stole the Impala? What would happen? And Dean just straight up says murder. It would end in murder. And then he reconsiders, he's like, torture first, then dead, then death. If I can't have her, no one can. And I thought that was very Dean. I mean, because it's the Impala, it's his baby. I'm not even sure he cares about Sam as much. I'm going to be honest. It's his baby. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a toss up, maybe. I don't know, but he absolutely loves Baby. If Baby were a girl, he'd be all over that, like an actual girl. And I just thought it was funny. And he didn't hear anything after Sam said that. Like he was just blank thinking about someone stealing the Impala. And then they had a funny montage. Crime bosses. Yeah, you had all these crime bosses and you never knew who was, screwing who. And I just thought it was very entertaining.
Well, Lola, I have to tell you that 4 of us just came back from Supernatural New Jersey, where we not only had Jared and Jensen, but we had Jensen's Impala. Hero 1 was hauled in for the show. And so I as much as Dean loves the Impala, I do think he loves Sam more. But, it could be close there. He gets very upset about the Impala. But yes, the actual Impala was at the show. So
I mean, all the time Sam died and stuff, Dean didn't really kill any humans, but he would have killed humans over the Impala. So I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, speaking of killing things, I am going with Breakdown. I thought Breakdown was just such a great horror movie. Monster of the week. They get a panic call from Donna. Her niece is missing. And it's one of those things that as women drivers, we know we hate driving alone in, on a lonely stretch of highway and there's car trouble. And what happens? Well, people are going missing. And as the show goes on, we find out that they aren't just going missing, being eaten by the monster of the week. It's worse than that. They are being raffled off online for body parts. So, you want a heart, you want a brain, you want eyeballs, you can
People
raffle.
gotta eat.
People gotta eat, yeah. And Sam goes missing. Well, unfortunately, the guy who is doing all of this raffling off online realizes he's got Sam effing Winchester. This is prime meat. This is not just your average motorist.
Yes, it is.
This, I hear you, Melissa. This is Sam. And so the bidding is much higher. And of course, there's the tension because he's got the knife. And is Dean going to get there in time? Of course, Dean is. And then spoilers, somebody we thought was a good guy turns out to be the ultimate bad guy. But it's just such a, if you were watching any of those horror movies in the 80s that were very much about single woman driving down a lonely road and bad things happen, this is the homage to that. And it's just a good monster of the week. So back to you, Carole.
I love that shot where Sam is strapped down to the gurney. And first of all, he looks a mile long because they're shooting from his feet up. And there's that guy in that too small pig mask. And it's genuinely spooky. I mean, it's genuinely, crazed AF because it's it's a disturbing image.
Yep. Back to you for another episode.
Me? Oh my gosh. All right, so I did Tombstone. Let's go with Advanced
Thanatology.
Thank you. I can read them, I can spell them, but sometimes you're like, how do I say that? That's the episode actually before my previous episode. So this is episode 5. And it was a really good, spooky, haunted-y kind of episode. We've got a haunted house and these boys exploring, and we've got, these really creepy looking plague doctor masks. I love a good plague doctor mask because they are just, with the beak and the eyes, and it's just like, they're so creepy. So, and he takes one home and you're like, this is not going to end well. And it doesn't. And they realize they've got to try to communicate with the spirits and all this stuff. I was less thrilled with the part where Billy takes him to the vast death tape archive.
The library.
But I love the whole thing with the house and the crazy doctor ghost and all of that is just really well done. And my heart just absolutely breaks at the end when we see them, bringing out the body of the boy. And of course the mother is, devastated, and they just played it really, really beautifully. Man, when they get some of those really tragic moments right, they really get it right. And you just can't help at least feeling tears well up, if not, trickling down. So I really thought that was, again, a monster of the week, but just with a really good, spooky, ghosty, haunted flavor to it.
Wait,
Okay.
you're not going to mention the best part about this episode?
Yeah. I know what you're going to say.
Where Sam explains that he read the reviews for the clam diver, and they get 4.5, I don't know, crabs stars. I don't even know.
No,
He's trying to cheer Dean up, and he's like suggesting a strip club and beer and bacon and whatever. And
of course, the intro,
clam diver.
and then he comes back. Sam comes back and finds Dean passed out on the floor with, a bra over his eyes. But we really wanted to know, what was the story with the flogger?
Yeah.
And did it involve a girl with a Zorro mask?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That episode also, so it had funny, it had case of the week. It also had that really terribly angsty, traumatic kind of moment where like Dean kills himself by plunging a syringe
Oh,
in his heart. And Sam's like, no, 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 no. And then Sam has the horrible stress of like having to wait it out and plunge another syringe to bring his brother back. So that Supernatural doesn't surprise me very often, but holy crap, that shocked me when that happened. So there was a lot
Yes.
going on in that
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. There really is.
Okay, Elektra.
Keeping in with the beginning of the season, which apparently Carol and I think is pretty deep, and Anna, I guess, the Big Empty. This was like a super combination of a Monster of the Week episode going on one side with Mia the Shrink helping out people who've lost loved ones while she's actually a shifter, although she's a really good shrink in there somewhere. And on the other side of it, we find out that while monsters go to, I've lost a word.
Purgatory?
Empty.
Purgatory. The monsters go to purgatory when they die. It turns out that angels and demons, they go to the Big Empty. And they just sleep there very quietly until someone wakes them up. And now Castiel is making a lot of noise in the Big Empty. And that's happening, like the B story is Castiel waking up and pissing off the Big Empty. And on the other side, you've got this great story with the shifter shrink, and they figure out, well, somebody is killing people and it's a shifter. And she's like, no, it's not me. I can prove it's not me. There's got to be another shifter involved. And meanwhile, they're also talking to her about like their issues because, Jack lost his mom and they lost people.
Their mom.
They're all like looking for closure. And she's asking them if they journal, and it's like, no. And Sam's like, well, our dad journaled. And there's a whole lot of really good things while you discover how powerful the Big Empty is, and just, how it's not really a friendly cosmic entity. The Empty is big and powerful and scary, and yet Jack woke up somebody there.
And Castiel manages to annoy it past the point that anyone has ever annoyed it before. So,
Well, it'll get worse later, but there's more to come. But now the Empty is annoyed and eventually just sort of spits him out because, well, he's annoying. It's a fun episode. For supernatural levels of fun, in with the gore and killing people and shapers shedding their skin, and ew, that is just so gross.
Yeah, the shapeshifter like helping grieving people by taking on their form is honestly weird, even for supernatural.
Well, but we also gets them ready for it, and she counsels them through to the point where they're ready for closure. It was really well done. It wasn't just like, we'll hang out and I'll turn into whoever it is and we can sit and talk. It was, she got them to the point where they were ready to say goodbye.
Soon
And
you'll be able to do that with AI.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've done therapy where it turns into well, if that person was here with you right now, what would you say to them? And that is powerful enough without the therapist turning into that person for good or bad.
More powerful, I would venture.
Yeah.
I think it could work for some people. It worked for Jack, right? It would not have worked for Sam or Dean. Like
it seemed like she had like done the work to become a real therapist, and she was definitely using real tools.
And
I don't think she did it for all her patients, or at least in my mind, she wasn't using it for all of her patients, just the ones she felt it would help. because she seemed to actually be helping people
Mhm.
until her ex came and decided to destroy the little life she built for herself.
Mhm.
We also get, in this episode, bits about how Sam and Dean parent differently, right? Dean is channeling John as, sort of the parental role, and Sam is trying to be not John.
Very
so we
not
get
John.
so we get that, sort of dynamic, which I think is really interesting because they're trying to figure out like what's up with Jack and can he be a person? But I'm gonna go with The Thing as a Monster of the Week episode. It is just a Monster of the Week episode. I mean, they're trying to get the Seal of Solomon, which they need to open the rift, and and it also takes place in a defunct Men of Letters chapter house and whatever, but mostly it's a tentacle monster. And I'm here for it. So there's secret cult members who perform a ritual to open a portal for a tentacle monster. And this happened like 100 years ago. And it turns out that the woman that they abducted to open the rift and be the host for the tentacle monster is still alive. And now she's looking for her mate. And so it turns out to be a god from another dimension, summoned by the Men of Letters, or these Men of Letters, to cleanse the world and blah, 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 blah. And so she wants to summon her lover, and she likes Dean. And so she's decided that she's going to allow Dean to be her mate's host. And there's a lot of discussion about tentacles. There's a lot of Dean appreciates tentacles. He's sort of a little bit like, he realizes, I think, in this episode that he appreciates them more from afar than he does from up close, perhaps. He doesn't really want to be Yortho's mate, Glithor's host. It's like a Hallmark movie, but with tentacles.
We get to,
but it's just
there, so.
It's just so good. And there's so many callbacks and references to Cthulhu mythos, to H.P. Lovecraft, to the gatekeeper keymaster with Ghostbusters, right? The first Ghostbusters movies. It's just Hallmark movies with tentacles. It's just hentai porn. The whole thing is just we're sort of mid-season right now, and things are, getting a little bit like, weird and dire and the apocalypse world and whatever. And then we get this episode and it just makes the whole season worth watching.
No,
And Dean is the damsel in distress chained
Dean
to
is
the
the
altar.
damsel in distress chained to the altar, about to be the vessel for Glithor, the tentacle monster.
Guys,
Anyway,
this is the
totally
episode
here.
where we see that when you get into a chapter house, you do it through basically a manhole cover, as long as you have a key, which we see again in the Winchesters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This was that episode.
Yeah.
And that's like, I guess they thought it was fun to use the manhole cover entry into the underground chapter house, and they liked it so much they used it later in that series.
Yeah. We also get some sort of brotherly banter that we have been missing for, because of various apocalypses, right? So Dean puts Post-it notes on Sam's back that say "kick me" and "dum dum" and "ass face" and whatever. And so we get a little bit of that, like they're trying to keep their, I don't know, keep their shit together while the world is collapsing around them, as it has for all of these seasons. And so the thing that I like, there's a lot of things that I don't like about season 13, but one thing that I do like is that they are finally talking to each other. They're finally they're not very good at it, but they're trying to talk about their feelings. They're trying to be honest with each other. They're trying to, let each other in and not keep everything down and lie to each other. And they're also, trying to sort of recapture some of the things like, putting, Post-it notes on your brother's back that say things like "kick me."
Okay, Melissa.
I don't know how I go after Hallmark story with tentacles. Thanks, Anna.
I don't know
I'm
how you
never
do
gonna get-
either, but good luck.
I'm never going to look at that episode without thinking that. Let the good times roll. Dean agrees to be Michael's sword to beat Lucifer, and it's a limited time only deal, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in the episode, and I don't really care about any of it, because at the end of the episode, Michael reneges on the deal, and you see him walking out looking dapper and fine. And I honestly, you don't even need to watch the episode. Just go to the end, watch the last minute. Jensen, and okay, you can appreciate two things. You can appreciate the way Jensen looks. And I mean, come on, who's not going to appreciate that?
Peaky Blinders all the way.
But you can even more appreciate that you can see Dean underneath Michael, but that is clearly Michael. Like, he doesn't have to open his mouth. That is Michael, and you know it instantly. And I think it's really hard. It's a real testament to the actor's ability, and Sam does it when he does Lucifer. But it's really amazing to see Jensen being Dean, being Michael. It's a really interesting bit. So, that episode is worth watching just for that.
Okay. And we just have somebody disappear.
No, I'm here. Carole went to, okay.
Oh,
there.
She turned into Jared and Jensen for a minute.
That's right. Lola.
Okay, I'm going to do Exodus. This is episode 22, the next to the last one. It wasn't a particularly fun episode. Most of it took place in the AU, so it's all black and white and full. But a lot happened. We got to see Felicia Day again. And I was thinking it would have been a good touch if they'd had her have a different name, because she was always changing her name, but her name is Charlie in this too. They should have had her have a different name, because that would have been very in character. They just caught her when she happened to be Priscilla or something. So, but we got to see her again, though we didn't really hear her talk, but she was there. And I was also wondering, did they even try to find the bunker in the AU? That would have been handy if they tried. What if they could have woken up Mrs. Butters and she would have taken care of everything? But anyways, we had a big epic showdown between Gabriel and Lucifer, which was awesome. I love Gabriel. Sadly, it didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. Someone goes to the big empty. And at the end, leads Dean to believe that he killed Lucifer, but we're very aware that he didn't. So it's like a dum moment. So it really had a lot going on.
Okay. And my Brady Bunch grid shifted. So I think I missed Lynn this time around, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Lynn.
I'm going to go with Funeralia because I love Rowena. And so this is the episode where we find out more about Rowena. First, we find out that she's going to be the one Sam is going to be the one who kills her. Billy tells her that that's in every version of Rowena's life and how she dies, it's Sam who kills her. But we also get that kind of more bonding with Sam and Rowena too, which is kind of nice. And eventually we find out too that Rowena is now kind of feeling guilty for things that she's done. So she's feeling really guilty for abandoning her child. She's feeling guilty for Crowley being killed. And she's actually doing what she's doing. She's going around combusting people, mostly bad people, but can't go around combusting people because she's trying to get the attention of Billy because she wants to be able to bring back her son. I love the Rowena Crowley Fergus complicated relationship, and I always wanted more of that. So I was so happy to get some of that in this episode. And then we also get that eventually, Rowena is refusing to help them, refusing to help Sam and Dean. She eventually ties up Sam because if she gets rid of Sam, then maybe she'll just keep on living because he's the one who kills her. And she tries to force herself to kill him and she can't do it. and she realizes that she's unable to kill him. And it's really the start of Rowena's redemption arc and becoming more of an ally to the brothers. So we have this great scene near the end where Sam and Dean and Rowena are sitting on the floor, like passing a bottle back and forth, and they're telling her, you know, Crowley's death wasn't your fault. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things. And I love that switched something in the arc for Rowena and took it to a place where I was really hoping that it was going to go. So that's one of my favorite episodes of this season.
And I'm going to finish us up with Scooby Natural. Now, I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I watched it from the time it came on TV. I was with the original Scoobies, you know, and all the permutations. There's next to Supernatural, Scooby-Doo's my show. And so getting the sheer amount of effort that it took to do Scooby Natural and do the cartoon version, and they did a really decent job of it. And that's just a huge amount of work. There's always a lot of work behind all of the episodes, but to do the animation, you know, that's just another whole layer. And when you see the clips about Jensen and Jared talking about doing the show, they were like little kids about, oh my God, we get to do Scooby-Doo. And it's just this perfect crossover. Who else would Sam and Dean cross over with besides Scooby-Doo? And of course, they did use a real episode from the first season of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Which was A Night of Fright is No Delight. And they made some definite, you know, script changes to it, as those who have seen it 50 million gazillion times can tell you, but they kept it very honest and real. And they what I loved was it was respectful to both Scooby-Doo and to Supernatural, and they did both of them right. And of course, the whole thing about the Scooby Gang finding out that scary stuff is really real and then walking that back at the end to preserve the innocence, it was all great. And Jinkies, those shoulders. So just gotta love that. Well, folks, we've run out of time. So before we end, please go, let's go around and let everybody know where they can find you online. Lynn?
You can find me on all social media at Fangasm SPN. You can find the 2 books that I've written with the actors and the fans of Supernatural. There'll be Peace When You Are Done, which is above my shoulder, and Family Don't End with Blood. At peacewhenyouaredone.com, and the new book on the boys, Soups Ain't Always Heroes, you can find on my website, fangasmthebook.com.
Okay, Melissa.
completely vapor locked. You can find me here, Kitty and I here on Continual talking about Supernatural.
Okay, Elektra.
Elektra Hammond. You can find everything you need to know about me at untilmidnight.com, and do most of my social on Mastodon, where I'm Elektra at wandering.shop.
Very good. Carole.
As Carole Stokes, you can find me in the Continual Facebook group and on many Continual panels. Also in the Supernatural TFWNC group that Gail runs. As Ellis Colton, I am an MM romance author. Both my books so far are on Amazon and Smashwords. All my social media links for that are on elliscolton.card.co. So it's CARRD.co. And my new book, The Silver Dragon, is freshly out on Amazon and Smashwords.
Anna.
You can find me at annakensing.com and most of the social media platforms under some version of that name, although my active participation on social media waxes and wanes depending on how much I'm procrastinating writing. And I'm also on a number of Continual panels as well.
And Lola.
My name's Lola Lariscy. I'm a sci-fi and paranormal writer. You can find me online. You can Google my name. You'll find me and a bunch of old ladies, and none of us are from Malta.
This is true. This is true.
As far as I know, unless there's some more dirty secrets. We've had so many secrets in my family. Maybe
And,
I should walk that back.
And I am pretty easy to find under gailcmartin.com, morganbryce.com. If you spell it right, you can find me under those names on most of the social media. I do run the Supernatural TFWNC group here on Facebook. I have a chapter in There'll Be Peace When You Are Done. But most of the time, you can find me here on Continual. So thank you so much for another great episode. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. We will be back with more Supernatural soon. So we'll see you online.